Nearly 30 years after her debut album, 57-year-old Shania Twain announced her 6th studio album and first since 2017. Queen of Me will be released in February 2023.
I've been in a very, self-empowering spirit, especially over COVID. I just had more time to write songs. I had more time on my hands to reflect on, my attitude. It was a difficult time, obviously, for the whole world. And if you weren't careful, it could have really gotten you down. Music has always been my savior. So my go-to is songwriting, spend time with music, cheers me up. It'll put me in whatever spirit or mood I want to be in. And I decided that I would, write songs that were making me feel up, making me want to get up and dance. So when you hear the album, there's a lot of that in there. There's a lot of very happy, dancey kind of feels, a lot of the vocal arrangements are very big and sing-along. Like Pretty Liar is kind of it's almost like a pub sing-along song. And, inhale, exhale, it's all about air and not taking it for granted and standing up and celebrating, being able to breathe air.
Shania set the internet abuzz when she appeared topless on the cover artwork for the album's first single, Waking Up Dreaming.
I'm feeling more comfortable in my own skin than I've ever felt before. And I'm somebody that went from never wearing a bathing suit at the beach as a teenager because I was way too self-conscious. My father made me feel self-conscious. It was almost dirty to wear shorts or not be entirely covered up, and as my body was maturing and I was becoming a teenager, all of a sudden I was getting real curves. So when that started happening, I started strapping myself down. I was wearing 2 bras. I was wearing tight spandex things under my sweatshirts that were like way oversized. I was dressing like a boy. I was self-conscious. I didn't feel good about becoming a woman. I was embarrassed by it. I was hiding my curves. I was rejecting it. So when I did that very first What Made You Say That video, I'm like, wow, I'm feeling kind of liberated here. No one is around to say anything to me. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the clothing. I'm ditching the bra. So from the very beginning, the very first video, I was ditching the bra. And then it was like I hit this wall and I'm like, whoa, I'm regressing. My confidence is regressing. My courage is dulling. Why am I allowing this? Like, frig that. I am not regressing. I am embracing my body as it changes, as I should have from my childhood to my teens, as I should be from my, taught 20s and 30-year-old self to my menopausal body. And I'm not going to be shy about it. I want to be courageous about it, and I want to share that courage in the artwork that I am directing. This is me expressing my truth. I am feeling comfortable in my own skin, and this is the way I am sharing that confidence. And I want hopefully out of that, other women that are aging, or any women, even if you're 12 and you're becoming, you're developing, like, you shouldn't feel like you need to hide behind your fear or your self-conscious shield. But you have to do it within your own sense of what is right for you and good for you and safe for you and your own well-being. So I want to do it responsibly, and I feel that I am. Honestly, I can't even tell you how good it felt to do nude shooting. I was just so like unashamed of my new body, you know, as a woman that is well into my menopause, right? And what if I'm saying to people, I'm comfortable in my own skin, I'm queen of me, then I have to express that in the music and in the art. And I'm finding it very fulfilling.
Earlier this year, Shania's journey to becoming the best-selling female country artist of all time was presented in the Netflix documentary, Not Just a Girl.
The idea of the documentary was born during the pandemic, and it also gave a lot of time for, you know, reflecting on what is it that I want to say, what matters, what is relevant to anyone, what really matters to me, what is it that I want to share, what do I think is important to share. You know, I started as a child, so there was a whole lot of material, a whole lot of reflection, and it took a lot of time. So, and I had a lot of fun because I was looking back at, you know, pre-braces, and, you know, singing with all these gaps in my teeth, and the weird, funny, fuzzy hair, and the homemade costumes that my grandmother made, and the innocence of, you know, just being a professional, a child professional. But what that meant was earning $50 here and there, singing in a local bar. That was being a professional singer at 10 years old or 8 years old. But I took it very seriously. I mean, I really did have a 100-song repertoire as a child at all times. I was very serious about that because I thought, you know, when you're in the clubs, they always throw songs at you, requests at you, and I wanted to make sure I knew everything that they would throw at me. It was like a challenge. And I wanted to please the crowd. I wanted to make them happy, and I took that as a very, I felt the instant reward of being able to, you know, play a song that somebody would request. And I never had any lyric sheets or anything, you know. It was great training ground for where I would go, even though I didn't know where I was going, if that makes any sense. It was very offensive to be considered a molded artist, that it took a man or a team or others to mold me and to, you know, decide what it is that I was going to be as an artist. But I had my own vision, and I didn't waste a lot of time explaining myself. I'm like, I'm just gonna do and let it speak for itself. But as far as like the sexism and all that, it wasn't new to me when I started my recording career. I was already well, you know, prepared for just staying focused and not bothering, you know, putting people in their place. It's just, you know, I've got better things to do. But I am glad now that I get to talk about it a little bit more, especially because I realize how inspiring it is to others to share your stories of surviving the bullying or surviving the sexism and surviving the intimidation that comes with being the new kid in town. Or you don't have to be a woman to be bullied and to be the new kid in town. You know, it's you know, the sexism is one element of it, but there's all other elements of just being disrespected as an artist, needing to know your place and when to speak up and how to speak up. It made a big difference to already understand how to navigate as the unproven artist. And I knew that I had to prove myself. I accepted that. That was like, okay, well, everyone's got to prove themselves, and I'm here to do that, and that's okay with me, and I can handle that. And I'm not going home. But I think that by the time I really did understand how challenging it was going to be to even be a recording artist outside of Canada, my parents had died. And then it's like, okay, now I really have no, you know, I'm like, there's no choice. I've got to like, this is all I know how to do. You know, all of my friends are already well into college. I've got to support the kids. They were still teenagers. Music's got to make a living for me now in a real way. And that sort of gave me a motivation that no matter how high that mountain was at that point, I was gonna climb it. I'm like, you know, I was fueled with survival, you know, survival mode. And I felt more, that sort of gave me a very fearless state of mind as well, because when you don't have a choice, you gotta push through the fear. You gotta push through it. And that's what I did. When I look at the documentary now, I see those broad shoulders in that younger woman. Even though I'm not saying anything that exhibits that, I know what I was feeling, and I know that I'm holding up my own fort, you know, making my way through it. And I'm not allowing myself to be intimidated at the time.
Shania's upcoming album will be her first release since she underwent open throat surgery in 2018.
I mean, losing my voice, that whole process was quite long. You know, it really was more than 7 years. And from the time that I was not able to, you know, be loud or project vocally at all. So, I mean, you know, singing, I could get to projection, but I had to work for I had to get into that muscle memory. It was like hours of preparation and being on the microphone, and, you know, it wasn't sustainable. And it was really weird. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but like, I can't yell out to the dog. I can't yell at a sports game. I can't cheer. I can't scream or anything. So, I started seeing specialists. I thought it was just exhaustion. They thought it was in my head because my vocal cords were in great shape. Finally, many years later, made my way to a neurologist, recommended by a head neck surgeon. He said, it's not your vocal cords condition, it's the nerves that create the vocal cord closure. It has to be symmetrical, and it's got to be strong in order to phonate with any, you know, power. So I ended up getting an operation that gave support to the vocal cords that was lacking in the nerve strength. 2 weakened nerves, supported by Gore-Tex, what I call crutches. And in an open throat surgery, I had to be awake through the surgery in order to phonate. I had to be able to sing and speak for the surgeon so he could see the vocal cords coming together and where to place the Gore-Tex support. But I was less afraid in that surgery than I was of never being able to sing again, or even verbally express myself the way I needed to. Of course, I had to then go through, you know, rehabilitation. I still speak with, you know, it's there all the time, you know, but I have power, and I can sing, and I can yell, and I can do it. And that brings me a lot of joy. And I may not be able to do it forever. And then maybe I have to make a decision. Do I want to get another surgery, you know, which I could do? Or maybe I just let other great voices sing my music and keep writing. And I'll just make that decision when the time comes. I don't need to make it right now. Right now I'm just enjoying where I am.
Shania also opened up about her painful 2010 divorce from ex and longtime producer Mutt Lange, and how she found happiness again with husband Frederick Thibault.
It was a very stressful time, and I also thought that was sort of part of my voice issues, that there was just emotional tension. So there was a lot of confusion there, you know, what is really going on in my mind and in my heart. And took a lot of working through, but I do believe that everyone's got to do what is right for them, and you know, I wouldn't want to stand in anybody's way. And so in that sense, and in the sense that I really found such a wonderful life, and that I was able to recover. I was able to recover as a singer. I was able to work through the fear of working without Mutt. I was able to work through finding my own independence again as an artist after being so long with a music partner. I reconnected with my own courage, and I just don't need him anymore for that. And I just, in that sense, feel I'm able to look at what he did for me and all that he contributed to such a great part of my career and a great part of my life. In the end, Mutt and I share a child that we co-parent, and we enjoy that very much. He shares his studio. So my son, myself, and Mutt all use the studio, which is really great. So that's kind of our crossroads area, which is, I think, really appropriate. And it feels really good to say that, you know. Well, the beautiful thing about Fred and I is that we're both, you know, I don't know if you remember the song, The Woman in Me. But I'm the type of woman, I'm very independent, but I really love the man that when I want to be cuddled and I want to be, like, you know, nestled and nurtured from my other half, it doesn't make me vulnerable. It just makes me, well, I don't even mind being vulnerable. It doesn't make me weak is the word. It just, I like those moments. I want that. And he's that man. He's a very manly man. But he's the kind of person that just wouldn't have me any other way. He likes the fact that I'm strong. I mean, he's probably tells me every day, you are a lot of woman. And I take it as a compliment. And, but he says it with a smile. He loves it, you know. So he is one of my biggest supporters. He's a lot of the brains behind so much of the work that I'm doing now, and that really makes it possible for me to do it. So we work a lot together. He's very creative as well. He's got a lot of energy, and that really, you know, makes him my third arm a lot of the times. But yet, on the other hand, we ride horses out in the desert together. It's so romantic. So we live most of our days together, kind of joined at the hip. Work or romance. I guess I would like to be remembered. That would be very nice. You know, being remembered is already a great accomplishment, right? And I'd like to be remembered as a good person. You know, I want to be a good person. I want to be a good example. I care about being a good example. And I would like to be remembered for being a conscientious, intelligent, thoughtful, purposeful person.